Over the 4th and 5th of May in 2024 in Parramatta, Sydney, New South Wales, the annual Great Train Show was held at the Rosehill Racecourse, presented by the Epping Model Railway Club. And in this video we're going to take a look at the over 90 layouts and traders that were in attendance. This video was made possible by The Train Girl, a passionate creator dedicated to enhancing the model railway hobby. With an ever-expanding range of high-quality products, The Train Girl provides everything a model railway enthusiast could dream of. Her offerings include well-crafted street and building scale signage, pantographs, a variety of buildings, specialised paint, HO30 Puffing Billy railway kits, authentic headboards and more. Train Girl's products are designed to add realism and detail to any model railway setup. You can find her items in hobby stores across Australia, making it easy for enthusiasts to access her unique creations. Additionally, her website, thetraingirl.com.au, is a treasure trove of resources. Here you can browse through her latest projects, view instructional blogs, and gain inspiration for your own model railway endeavours. For those looking to stay updated on the newest releases and projects, following The Train Girl on social media is a must. She regularly posts on Facebook and Instagram, providing her followers with a sneak peek of upcoming projects and behind the scenes look of her creative process. Whether you're a seasoned model railway builder or just starting out, The Train Girl offers a wealth of products and information to help bring your miniature world to life. Exhibition reports on this channel are made possible by the Patreons on Patreon, and if you're interested in gaining early access to videos while supporting their production, head over to my Patreon, linked in the description below. And of course, if you are new here, don't forget to be subscribed so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos that come out regularly. The first layout we'll take a look at is Australian HO scale layout Ettamogah. Ettamogah is based on the privately owned freight terminal at Tabletop, 10 kilometres north of Albury on the main standard gauge line between Melbourne and Sydney. The freight terminal is unique in that it has the only 2 cargo sprinters in Australia, although now in storage. It uses 2 restored Victorian Y-class locomotives to perform daily shunting duties. Ettamogah Rail Hub is a leading-edge regional intermodal transport facility, linking to multimodal terminals across Australia. The hub sees Pacific National, Horizon and Cube trains on a regular basis. The hub has its own rail sidings and a 300-metre long concrete loading platform. There is also a 320-metre gravel platform that can accommodate trains up to 1,200 metres in length. The layout shows the trains dropping off and picking up wagons. The cargo sprinters, Y-classes and regional connect livery shunt the wagons and other trains that pass through the terminal. And this layout is constantly being updated. New South Wales O-scale layout Glasson. Glasson was initially developed as a simple layout to display mostly scratch-built O-scale South Australian railway locomotives and rolling stock by Mr. Lloyd Glasson. However, the railway modelling members of this build group have since morphed the layout into a fictitious location based on a condensed prototype plan from Western New South Wales. This is a branch line layout with an emphasis on shunting operations. You can see the prototypical operations and the realism that 7mm scale modelling achieves. You can listen to the sounds of the slow-moving locomotives and watch the realistic train movements.
It's not great on fuel efficiency.
New South Wales HO scale layout Bethungra Spiral from the Epping Model Railway Club. Bethungra Spiral is located 20 km from Cootamundra and is regarded as a marvel of engineering. It was instigated as a means of ascending a significant mountain range with easier grades than the original line and was opened in 1878. The main line towards Sydney coils around the Bethungra Hill, crossing both itself and the main down line. Included in the deviation are 2 single-track tunnels, a bridge and some of the deepest railway cuttings found in Australia. It was realised that the steep grades of 1 in 40 and 1 in 45 on the single line between Bethungra and Sydney would hinder rapid movements of heavy traffic. A spiral deviation was the solution to achieve a reduction in grade to 1 in 66 compensated for curvature. Duplication of the line between Cootamundra and Junee began in January 1941. The deviation was opened for rail traffic on the 15th of July 1946. The spiral eliminated the need for bank engines and locomotive teams to be stabled at Bethungra, which were formerly required to push or pull trains up the steep incline. Because of the looped nature of the Bethungra spiral deviation, traffic on the line up to Sydney travels 2.8 km further than trains on the down line. At one point on the Olympic Highway, the 3 tracks of the spiral are visible.
I don't know if this will be one of the last times it'll come out. You'd have a pretty good runway.
Two of the small slouts, but certainly a couple of the most impressive, were Dauntsey Lock and Monbulk Creek. Dauntsey Lock is a GWR T-gauge layout, which is 1 in 480 scale. Dauntsey was a minor junction station on the Great Western Railway's main line from London to Bristol in Western England. Nearby is a lock on the old Wilts and Berks Canal, as well as the small hamlet of Dauntsey Lock. Whilst it's still a busy main line today, the station and branch line are long gone, but the canal is being restored. So the model shows it in its heyday in the 1930s, and the layout uses a linear motor drive system instead of conventional model railway propulsion. In such a tiny scale, this allows for long trains, high reliability, automatic operation including shunting, and even a working canal and lock. And all the structures are 3D printed. Monbulk Creek is based on the Puffing Billy Railway in 1 in 350th scale. The Monbulk Creek Trestle Bridge is a favourite viewing spot on Melbourne's Puffing Billy Heritage Railway, and the model depicts it in the present day.
Someone else will do that. I think it's okay. No.
Othom Road by the Adamstown Model Railway Club. Othom Road is based on a fictional location in the outer suburban area of New South Wales. A mixture of 1980s to mid-2000s rail traffic can be seen here and observed. This layout has been lovingly created by members of the Adamstown Model Railway Club from 2017 until early 2024. Elements of various scenes from New South Wales have been incorporated to set it nowhere in particular, but with elements of New South Wales being shown to include, but not limited to, island platform based off the Blue Mountains, a heritage society with a multiplex of different locations incorporated into the workshops, a BMX track and shack for local delinquents, along with many other elements that keen-eyed spotters may observe. HO scale, New South Wales layout, Bullenbung Creek. Bullenbung Creek was inspired by the Pioneer branch line that ran west from Urunquinty on the main south line of New South Wales to Kaiwong, which was approximately 30 miles away. Originally opened to Gaylord in October 1928, the extension opened to Kaiwong in April 1929. The station area modelled is Belfraden, and the bridge further west over the west course is known as Bullenbung Creek. The water tank on the layout has been moved for modelling purposes, and the station area compressed to be able to fit everything into the available space. Being an intermediate crossing loop, no signalling was provided. All the track is hand-laid to NMRA standard using micro-engineering code 55 rail soldered to PCB sleepers, placed about 75mm apart, with basswood sleepers filling in between. Only DCC sound decoder fitted locomotives have been used. Some brass and some DJH locomotives with Soundtrack, Tsunami, Loco Sound, Zimmo and some of the newer ready to run. Point actuation is also DCC. The scenery is as light as possible, using polystyrene foam as the base and a paper and glue covering added to the top. They decided to use some grass fibres made by Nock, Hecky and others, and applied using a homemade static grass applicator. The ground cover used is Woodland Scenics material and real dirt from the Belfraden area.
Track work, it's all it was.
HO scale New South Wales layout Wyee. Wyee is a small town located on the short north corridor between Gosford and Newcastle. The station and its buildings, together with the station master's house, privately owned cement works and silos, and the steel girder bridge are scratch-built replicas of the rail infrastructure within the 1950 to 1970s timeframe. Details of all of these were taken from photos, as none of the buildings were in existence at the commencement of this layout. The locomotives are either manufactured brass or white metal kits. The rolling stock is predominantly assembled from kits acquired from a number of suppliers, all suitably weathered to add that realistic appearance on the layout.
No, everyone seems quite happy. I mean, it's taken me and they've got contingencies on where they will go in case if that changes. So we're all right. Unfortunately, that's the sentiment I keep hearing. Well, I know, it's this Thornley's exhibition I've never been.
N-scale layout Binawyle. This layout is modelled on no specific location. It started back in 2018, and to the current date it's still being worked on. Because it took such a long time to work out the design due to modifications, and to even think of the name. The construction of this layout is made of a plywood base with normal framing timber. It's a 6-piece layout with an operational 7th piece, interchangeable with the turntable section that was on show. The background scenery has all been hand painted from scratch, using drawings and photos. HO scale layout Muttama. Muttama has been prototypically modelled to reflect the former rail yard that serviced the small riverina country town of Muttama, which was located on the Cootamundra to Tumut branch line. The station building and the gatekeeper's cottage are mostly scratch built in HO scale, from the actual original plans, where the goods shed is 50% 3D printed and 50% scratch built. The scenic section of this layout is 2.4 metres in length and 40 centimetres wide, with a Haskell back scene picture to enhance the scenery on the layout. The rail line through this area opened to traffic in June 1886, and the rail infrastructure was kept unchanged until the 1970s, which allows the display of prototypical trains from early steam to the diesel era without being too out of place.
Okay. Unreal. That's awesome.
German HO scale layout Luneburg. This layout is loosely based on the town of Luneburg in northern Germany. In the medieval Old Town, Gothic-style buildings frame the main square. Mining has been a source of wealth over the centuries, as well as timber. Mining can be seen in the distant hills, as well as a sawmill near the loco workshops. The town has a minor station on the main line, so the rail traffic varies between Era 3 to the latest high-speed ICE trains, as well as the odd historic train.
Have you seen it when they do an announcement? And
The town centre is serviced by buses from the station, with a Fowler car system.
I don't know if there's any. Yeah, but this is the same for a lot of people.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Class 52. And he said no. He said $500.
Australian HO scale layout Mungo Scots from the Sydney Model Railway Society. Mungo Scots is based on a small section of the former Metropolitan Goods Line running from Dulwich Hill to Rosehill, White Bay and then to Darling Harbour in inner western Sydney. The section modelled documents the Mungo Scots flour mill at Summer Hill, which ceased operating in 2009, as well as the general goods yard opposite, which when it existed serviced several industries including Sanitarium, Parkwright and Lewisham Iceworks. Mungo Scots opened in 1916 and was connected to the Metropolitan Goods Line when it opened in 1922. The entire line was extremely busy, with a wide range of freight to and from the various ports, and also to a number of varied industries along the line. The Mungo Scots sidings were expanded in 1955 with the construction of 4 large silos, which are still easily seen by passing passenger trains. The line underwent significant change when electrification occurred in 1967. Mungo Scott is a tribute to the train operators within Sydney's metropolitan area, with a blend of historical and modern operations. This layout was constructed by members of the Sydney Model Railway Society, and they are proudly the oldest model railway club in Australia, established in 1936. Goulburn by the Guildford Model Railway Group. Goulburn is a HO scale exhibition layout constructed and operated by the Guildford Model Railway Group. The layout was first exhibited in June 2016, and although most of the major items are completed, there is still a bit more work to be done. The layout is based on the Goulburn railway station and the immediate precinct, which is located on the main Southern Railway line, 225 kilometres from Sydney by rail. The layout models a section of the line from Blackshaw Road level crossing at the Sydney end of Goulburn to the Braidwood Road overbridge, which crosses over the line between the southern end of the station. The layout is modelled to represent the area circa mid-1980s, and they've used some selective compression. The trains being run are those typical that ran through Goulburn from the steam era to the start of the candy colour scheme era. The layout consists of 6 separate modules, and the framework is plywood resting on aluminium A-frame legs. The layout is operated by conventional DC block control and a separate controller for each of the up and down mainline tracks, and there is also a third controller for the sidings. And a 14-track storage yard at the rear provides ample storage for the many different trains.
Gotcha. That's alright. No, it's Saturday. I decided, even though the news came out on Wednesday, I was like, no, I'll put another one out this week. So. Right. How are you, Bryce? No, it's good. Yes. It's been surreal. Now the channel's free. Going up a bit more. Reach more people.
Inner West is a recently purchased and rebadged micro layout, which makes its debut at this exhibition. Originally designed and built by Gary Rumming, the layout was previously exhibited as Industry Lane. Alistair McMaster decommissioned this popular layout, the Yard, in early 2024 and purchased Industry Lane as means of providing a small, easy to operate layout which was suitable for both exhibitions and at home. The layout is set in the 60s through to the early 70s, and it features an array of locomotives and rolling stock from that era. Inner West is a fictional, prototypical, suburban micro layout in HO scale that represents sidings for general goods and freight activity in an inner suburban setting. Inner West features DCC operation with an NCE Pro cab. The small depot. The locomotive depot in the inner northern suburbs of Netherley is connected to the suburban network from a smaller branch line. The small station is called Enfield and is mainly used by the workers of the Netherley Locomotive Depot, and a small amount of general public also use the station. You can see all manner of locomotives being serviced at this depot. The station is serviced by a 2-car driver trailer doing some shuttles from the city to Enfield.
Yeah, so they'll get a cut. So how are you, man?
I think I remember this like Canberra in a March. Was it in Canberra?
It was in
I thought
Canberra.
I told you. In the Goulburn area.
Oh, yeah.
Fear factory and some other band with that knock fest.
Oh, yeah.
Navy Bell Mississippi, two ones was more popular in America, Europe, and England. These two boys got listen to radio and get on.
Yeah, you would have to stay in security. Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah.
New South Wales HO scale layout Dungog. Dungog is just north of Newcastle. It was initially conceived by the North Shore Modelers Association and is being crafted to capture the essence of Dungog. Featuring the region's landscape, the layout initially showcased vintage and modern trains winding through the carefully designed terrain, all of which underscores the dedications of its creators throughout its impressive 30-year lifespan. Under the new ownership of Brett Watson, the layout has undergone substantial enhancements, including updating scenery, replacing electronics, and implementing CTC signal control systems, based on the early 80s and 90s technology, with rolling stock to match. These improvements not only underscore his commitment to preserving the layout's original charm, but to also introduce a modern operational touch. The layout has been revitalised for the exhibition circuit, so a broader audience has the opportunity to appreciate the intricate details and nostalgic representation of the modern Dungog landscape.
I'm not giving you a break. At least you could come to the train show. Are you from up here? Since I've ever been.
N-scale layout, the beach. The beach is a layout set in New South Wales, somewhere on the south coast. The pier is left over from the war days and would serve as container ships and oil tankers. It was destroyed during this time and has now become a place for people to experience the tourist railway on most days. The inspiration for this layout was a place to enjoy trains and the seaside with family and friends.
If you're operating here, man,
This layout was displayed to farewell the owner and maker, the late Keith King, who passed away on the 25th of May 2023. And the layout was proudly being operated by his family in honour of him.
it's your first time coming to this one. Yeah. At this point, there's no way I'll ever go to that week after this year.
Victorian South Australian layout Borderline by Corey Gibson. Borderline is based on a fictional township along the South Australian and Victorian border region, modelled in the 1980s of the South Australian Railways renaming into the Australian National Days. This particular layout sees a colourful array of rolling stock utilised during this transition. By creating a town on the border, this allows through running trains from both states featuring the transitional era from Victorian Railways to the introduction of V-Line's orange and grey. This is a DCC layout with all the locomotives having working sound. This HO scale layout features two main running lines, a large 4-road yard for shunting along with grain facilities, cement works, petrol depot and stockyard, and hidden from view is a 10-road fiddle yard with a wide variety of trains to keep the layout moving along. New South Wales layout Bombo. Bombo is a HO scale layout that represents a heritage listed branch line railway station roughly 100 kilometres south of Sydney on the south coast line. Modelled in the early 2000s at a time when electrification on the line had just been completed. This layout attempts to recreate the spirit of the beachside location. DCC control governs not only the layout's sound-equipped locomotives, but also a variety of ambient background sounds, platform announcements and turnouts. Many of the DCC sounds you hear from locomotives and scenery are custom-made sound projects, bringing to life what had once been the terminus of the South Coast Line more than 130 years ago. New South Wales HO scale layout Waterfall from the Illawarra Model Railway Association. Waterfall Station is 38 kilometres south of Sydney's Central Station, on the outskirts of the metropolitan area on the Illawarra line. This exhibition layout is a representation of the Waterfall Station and yard in the 1960s. The station opened in 1886, moving to its third and current location in 1905. The station building modelled was demolished in 1995. The Sydney Suburban Electrification Network did not reach Waterfall until 1980. All the structures and buildings on this layout are scratch-built from original plans and photographs. The layout can be operated using either DC or DCC, with all track and turnouts being Pico Code 83. Moruya from the New South Wales N-Scale Group. Although being a real town on the south coast of New South Wales, this area never saw a government rail service. The town is surrounded by rich dairy country and is evidenced by the large creamery and station and the abundance of fat cows in the surrounding hillsides. As a part of privatisation of the railways, both New South Wales Railways and the South Coast and Monero Railway engines can be seen hauling freight and passenger trains. The layout is operated under DCC, meaning that trains can be operated independently on the same track.
Exactly like you, who was here yesterday. It's like here. Yeah. I hear he got stuck in the back pretty much all day. Pretty much talking to everybody. So he's a superstar, apparently so.
English O-scale layout Uley Junction. Uley Junction is a fictitious location based on the practice of the Great Western Railway. The operational concept is provided by Boardman General in Cornwall, whereby two branch lines ran into Boardman General, and some trains, particularly China clay goods, needed to be reversed for the train to continue up from one branch to the other.
You're right.
Trains are short and typical of branch line operations in the United Kingdom. Two periods of operation are covered: Victorian Edwardian, later 1880s to early 1900s, and then the 1930s. Not much change occurred in the railway infrastructure in these two periods, but there were updates to the motive power and rolling stock. Trains that can be seen are passenger push-pull services and the more conventional passenger trains, as well as pick-up goods. There are also China clay trains transporting the mined clay from the surrounding hills to the local docks. The fiddle yard represents the two branch lines and combines a train turntable that can hold a whole train to a maximum length of 1.2 metres. Hidden storage tracks provide storage for up to 8 off-scene trains, and the layout is fully operational using DCC.
natural water? No, no. Alright, I'll get around. I'll get there. I'll get there.
Tannochbrae from the Sydney Epping Model Railway Club. Tannochbrae is a fictional small railway station based in the Western Highlands of Scotland during the 1980s. The original reason for the station was to service the Scotch distillery, which was situated on the shore of the local loch. And the actual town is located down the road from the station. Overlooking the loch is Loch Laird's castle, which still is occupied by the Laird to keep an eye on the loch. The layout has been built to show how easy it is to have an operating layout using set track and a little imagination. All track is Tomex set track, with slip points allowing trains to cross at the station without the need to actually change the points, and it's controlled with DCC.
Yeah. Are we taking stuff out? Oh, you're pretty cool.
Timber is a G-scale model railway, designed as a freelance layout set in the early 1900s on the Pacific slopes of California. During this era, numerous private logging railways were established to transport logs from the forest to the sawmill below. These railways are often referred to as bush railways, and were the sole means of bringing the logs out of the forest. Timber is a representation of the supply line that serviced the depot and catered to the needs of various logging operations deeper in the forest. The layout and its buildings authentically depict the challenging and harsh times that loggers faced during this period. Polish layout Gwarek. This is a small city in Poland which shares its border with Germany. This complex location helps explain the wide variety of traffic through the station, giving its bustling activity there. This is a TT scale layout, set in the late 1990s. There's even steam still around, which was used for mostly tourist excursions, but electricity is the motive power of choice. And with that they installed a catenary system. They run a wide variety of models, from makers such as Tillich, Berkman and Rocco.
This one's quite low, so...
Yarrawa, which is a fictitious branch line terminus station that ran from the junction at Denman in the Upper Hunter Valley in New South Wales to Yarrawa, a distance of 25 miles. This is set in the era from the 1950s to the 1960s, and motive power includes both diesel and steam branch line locomotives hauling a combination of goods mixed with passenger trains. This layout uses DCC operation, including points, which they have Cobalt IP digital point motors installed, and Pico Electrofrog points and Code 75 track have been used throughout the layout. The layout is an end-to-end consisting of two scenic modules of 1.65 metres each, and 1.4 metres for a track pivot traverser to aid with operations.
Stop there. Okay, now go forward. Kiss me. Hang on. Oh, okay. Road set. Road set. Going to be a tight fit, actually.
Blue Mountains from the North Shore Railway Modellers Association. Blue Mountains made its debut at the 2018 Forestville, New South Wales exhibition. And this year they were exhibiting the layout with an expanded form, with the completion of Katoomba added to the front side of the layout, and Warramaroo and Valley Heights stations, as well as Valley Heights Loco Depot, including an operational coal stage at the rear side of the layout. The layout is based on the final years of steam operation and the start of diesel running on the steep Blue Mountains line west of Sydney from about 1950 to 1957. This was one of the most extraordinary railway operations possibly anywhere, due to the frequent train operations, steep grade, double heading on most westbound trains, delays while goods trains were stopped to set and release brakes. Again, most westbound passenger trains, even when hauled by popular 38 classes, required banking engines. Star of operations in the use of double-heading 57 and 58 class locos on 1,500-ton coal trains. Members' trains cover the range of passenger services such as the Central West Express with a rake of hub cars, or even the Cave Hills Express with a rake of end platform cars. Goods services will cover local mixed freight, wool or wheat trains to Sydney and returning empty, and 57 and 58 locos double-heading on block coal trains. The layout uses DCC as a basis, utilising the NCE system. The NCE equipment is augmented by the use of a Raspberry Pi computer, running applications like JMRI, Y-Throttle and Wi-Fi to provide members with access and control of their trains. Certainly non-DCC equipment components are made DCC capable by the use of Arduino microcontrollers. Traditional control using the NCE handheld devices, tethered or radio, is also utilised.
Oh, fantastic. It's been a weekend. Yes, they was chaos. Oh, I didn't get home like that. Back up and now doing the front here. No, absolutely. They've done it, yeah. Really good job again.
Chamatiago and Southwestern, American HON3 layout. This layout is a freelance representation, loosely based on and inspired by the rugged terrain of the Silverton branch following the Arminus River in Colorado during the 1940s, and has taken about a year to build to this stage of completion. This is the very first time this layout has ever been exhibited. The layout framework was constructed using 25mm extruded aluminium framing over which high-density insulation foam was used to support the scenery. The foam was carved and shaped using a hot knife, with a scenery base of chucks cloths and gyprock topping compound applied. All staging, trestles and supports were also built with the same extruded aluminium due to its strength and light weight. Lighting is a combination of warm white and daylight LED strips fixed to the inside top of the valance. The vertical rock faces were cast and detailed as separate scenic sections, made of 3mm plywood, before being fixed in place on the layout. The backdrop is a collage made up of photos from the Durango to Silverton Railroad. Track is Micro Engineering Code 55 Flex Track and is laid onto 2mm cork, then airbrushed, ballasted and weathered. All locomotives and rolling stock and structures are detailed and weathered to reflect the era and terrain. Steve Scratch built several of the structures over 25 years ago, with some recent upgrade and repair work to have them included on a layout. Control is NCE DCC, with locos fitted with sound decoders, and steam is the predominant mode of power, and the galloping geese of the Rio Grande Southern. One of my favourite layouts on the exhibition circuit is Carlingford. This is a small point-to-point HO scale layout set in the 1980s to the early 1990s. And the inspiration for this layout was sparked when the original Carlingford line was closed permanently in preparation to be converted to light rail. The era was chosen due to interest regarding operations in the yard, which was still present beyond the station until the late 1990s. On this layout, a variety of rolling stock can be seen travelling up and down the line. However, it is heavily centred around the older single and double deck suburban trains, so many people remember.
Attention passengers, the next train will be running 2 minutes late. Thank you for your patience.
As you view this layout, let the trains and details take you back to the late 80s and early 90s that is unfortunately no longer around. Gresham by Sydney N-Scaled Model Railway Club. Gresham is located on the main Western Railway line west of Bathurst. At Gresham, the Western line changes from single track to double track operations and is an excellent vantage point to watch trains roll by. The layout is based on the hamlet as it existed on the 19th of May 1982, just after a rainstorm had passed. Although it is possible to see more modern trains passing through. The trains operating on this layout consist of both ready-to-run and kit-built locomotives and rolling stock from the same sources. The track is Pico code 55 on the visible sections, with Tomix code 80 in the storage yards. The layout is operated using DCC, and all signals, made by Dapol, and points are powered. Buildings are a mix of kit-built and scratch-built, and all trees are scratch-built using the twisted wire process.
I've got another loco to drop off this metro. Yeah, boys, that was fairly. Yeah. No.
Tarana to Oberon. Taranah is situated on the main Western Line, 179 rail kilometres from Sydney, and was the junction for the 24-kilometre branch line to Oberon. The layout is modelled in N-scale and represents the station after 1968, but before the change to single track in the late 1990s. Buildings are all scratch-built from styrene or are 3D printed. The back scene was painted by the late Val Bennett, in oil paints from photographs of the station area taken in the 90s. The Oberon extension to Taranah represents the branch line to the terminal station of the Taranah Railway Line, which opened for operations on the 3rd of October 1923. The layout has been built trying to keep the actual line as much as possible using selective compression. They've used similar grades, track curvatures and features such as the intermediate stations at Hazel Grove and Calwood, and other features such as the Fish River Bridge and the trestle bridges of Snake Valley Creek and Emu Creek. The combined Oberon to Taranah branch line is attached to the Taranah layout. When combined, the Oberon to Taranah branch line is attached to the Taranah layout and is 10 metres by 3.6. Springfield Junction from the Hills Model Railway Society. Springfield Junction is a HO scale layout and uses DCC control as part of the electrics. The size of the layout is 8.6 metres by 2.4. The layout mainly depicts the period from the mid-1940s through to the late 1960s. The layout is based on the American prototype, with local industries supportive of local community, receiving and supplying goods for local farms and industries. Up in the hills to the east is the mining area. It should be noted that in the 1940s, OH&S was not as important as it is today. Even though this is a small country town, it's located on a busy line where you'll often see a lot of traffic passing through, both east and west, and occasionally you'll see a passenger train stop at Springfield Junction to put down or pick up passengers. The passenger trains also deliver mail and other small goods, and shorter trains were more frequent in the 40s than they are today, even on main lines. And just outside the entrance to the exhibition were G-Scale Hobbies, who during the show were showing the latest technologies available on how to run and control live steam, battery and electric locomotives. As well as all these excellent layouts, there were also several small layouts also in attendance.
But
Plus modelling clinics where you could ask all the questions about model building. So with that, there were also a large amount of traders and manufacturers, and they were Palace Hobbies, Andean Models, Bob's Hobbies, MKN Digital, Kieran Ryan Models, Hobbyland, Wombat Models, DCC Solutions, Matt's Ballast, Eureka Models, Gopher, Ixon and Buckenbull Models, Magna Rail, Scale Model Co, Railway Coins, the ARHS, Barry's Boxes, Kerriby Models, Kazula Hobbies, Modeller's Warehouse, Acision Models, Train World, Model Railroad Craftsman, Mark's Book Barn, Woodpecker Model Railways, SDS Models, IDR Models, On-Track Models, Euro Hobby Train, Steam Gone but Not Forgotten, Burford Tools. As well as that, they also have one of the biggest second-hand stalls you'll probably ever see, although it does get quite busy on the Saturday morning. Now they do make getting to this exhibition nice and easy, running vintage buses with the Sydney Bus Museum running from Granville Station to the racecourse. Now, as I always say, if there's one exhibition you're going to travel to, it's this one. It's certainly a highlight of how good and alive this hobby is. Now in 2025, the exhibition has moved to a little bit later in the year and will be held over the weekend of October 25th and 26th at the Rosehill Racecourse. So if you're keen to find out more about the Epping Model Railway Club and the exhibition, you can follow them on social media, or keep up to date with everything model railways in Australia with the monthly Model Railway News on this channel. Anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed this rather large presentation, and I hope to see you all again soon. Hooroo!